Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Activate English podcast. I'm Kelly, and with me is Hank. Today, we have a massive, super detailed episode for you.
Hello, everyone. Yes, massive is the right word. Today, we're going to talk about everything we do in a single day. From the moment we wake up until we fall asleep. This is your ultimate guide to the English of everyday life.
That's right. We will speak clearly and simply, but we will go deep into the details. If you can understand this whole episode, your English vocabulary and listening skills will skyrocket.
Let's start at the beginning. The waking hour. Kelly, let's talk alarm clocks. Do you use the snooze button or are you a one alarm person?
I am a strict one alarm person. I set it for 6 a.m. If I use the snooze button, I feel tired all day. I believe in immediate action. What about you, Hank? Do you fight with your alarm?
I absolutely fight with my alarm. I am definitely a serial snoozer. I set my main alarm for 6:30, but I usually hit the snooze button 3 times. I get an extra 9 minutes of sleep each time. It's about habit, but I can help it.
That sounds like a lot of mini sleeps. What is the first thought in your head when the alarm finally wins?
It's always a feeling of dread. I think, I need to jump up. But my body says, just 5 more minutes. It's a daily battle between my brain and my body.
I usually use my smartwatch, which vibrates gently to wake me up. It's less jarring than a loud noise. I recommend a gentle wake up for a good start to the day.
A gentle wake up. I should try that. I rely on the harsh, loud ringtone. It's a very aggressive start to my day, but it definitely gets me moving eventually.
That's because it triggers your fight or flight response. You need to reduce the morning stress.
I agree. My partner, though, uses 3 different physical alarm clocks and sets them 10 minutes apart around the room. I don't know how they survive the noise.
Maybe that's too much. The goal should be to condition your body to wake up naturally, even before the alarm.
I am still working on that goal. Okay, eventually we get out of bed. What is your transition ritual? Do you immediately head to the kitchen or the bathroom?
I always head to the bathroom first. But before I even get there, I do a simple stretching routine. I learned this from a yoga video. I stretch my arms above my head and I touch my toes. It's my way of telling my muscles, wake up.
I usually just groan and shuffle to the bathroom. My ritual is more focused on water. I splash cold water on my face. It's a quick shock to the system that helps me feel alert.
That's smart. Let's talk hygiene. Do you brush your teeth before or after you eat breakfast? This is a highly debated topic.
I always brush my teeth before breakfast. If I eat first, I feel like the food is still in my mouth when I start working. I have a very specific routine. Brush, floss, then mouthwash. I'm very particular about my dental health.
I'm the opposite. I eat first and then I brush, but I am very particular about my skin routine. I use specific cleansers and moisturizers. It takes me longer in the morning than any other step.
We all have our morning priorities. For me, it's about speed. Because I hit the snooze button, I need to complete all my getting ready tasks quickly. I need a very efficient routine.
Efficiency is key to avoiding morning chaos.
I agree. My whole goal is to avoid the feeling of being rushed, even though I usually fail at that goal. Okay, let's talk more about the shower. Do you take a quick shower or a long, luxurious one?
During the week, it's a quick rinse, maybe 5 minutes tops. I focus on being functional. But on the weekends, I take a long, hot, luxurious shower. I sometimes listen to music then.
I take my showers in the evening as a way to unwind from the day. My morning is strictly focused on getting dressed. I check the weather app right before I choose my outfit.
The weather app is crucial. I always check the temperature and the rain forecast. If it's raining, I need to grab my umbrella and wear waterproof shoes.
Do you plan your clothes the night before or do you decide in the moment?
I used to decide in the moment, and it often led to wardrobe regrets, wearing the wrong thing. Now I try to lay out my clothes the night before. It saves valuable snooze time.
That's a great tip for efficiency. I also lay out my clothes. It's part of my preparation ritual to ensure a smooth transition out of the house. And let's talk about shoes. I always wear comfortable shoes for the commute, even if I change into formal shoes when I get to the office. Comfort is king.
Comfort is key. I agree. Even though I walk, I need shoes that provide good support.
Okay, let's talk more about the fuel, breakfast. We mentioned oatmeal and eggs. Do you ever skip breakfast entirely?
Rarely. I almost never skip breakfast. If I skip it, I find myself hungry and irritable by mid morning. It sets a bad tone for my entire day.
I agree. I think breakfast should be non-negotiable. I also believe in taking the time to sit down. I don't believe in eating while standing or walking out the door.
That's a good philosophy. So, we talked about brewing coffee at home versus buying it. What about specialty coffee? Do you ever drink lattes or cappuccinos?
I usually stick to black coffee because I love the strong, rich taste. But on a Friday, as a treat, I might get a caramel macchiato. It's a nice way to celebrate the end of the work week.
A caramel macchiato is a fantastic Friday treat. I usually get a flat white. It has a smoother, milkier texture than a regular latte. I'm quite picky about my coffee.
Coffee culture is so interesting globally. In some countries, people take a long social break for coffee. In the US, it's often a fast grab-and-go experience.
That's very true. It highlights the difference between a task-oriented culture and a relationship-oriented culture. My only rule is I must have caffeine before I talk to anyone.
That sounds like a very necessary rule. Okay, let's go back to the commute. My drive is 45 minutes. That's a lot of time. How do you utilize that time?
Since I walk, I utilize the time for mindfulness. I practice observing my surroundings, the weather, the people, the street art. It helps me transition from home mode to work mode.
That is a great way to handle the transition. Since I drive, I use the time to listen and learn. I subscribe to several news podcasts and educational lectures. I feel like I'm not wasting the time stuck in traffic.
What is the biggest traffic headache you experience?
The biggest headache is when people don't use the turn signals. It creates sudden braking and a lot of frustration. It makes me wish I had a flying car sometimes.
I can imagine. When I walk, my biggest headache is when it suddenly rains and I don't have my umbrella. A sudden downpour can really ruin the start of your day.
A sudden downpour is always an unwelcome surprise. Do you ever listen to music to counteract the stress of the day?
Always. I listen to upbeat pop music right before I enter the restaurant. It gives me a burst of energy and optimism.
Optimism is key. We all need that final mental preparation before starting work or class. Okay, we are officially in the afternoon. Let's talk about that 3 o'clock slump in more detail. When does it hit you the hardest?
It hits me right after my second big meeting of the day, usually around 2:30 p.m. My eyes start to feel heavy and my brain feels foggy. I think it's the combination of the early wake up and the mental exhaustion.
That mental exhaustion is tough. In the kitchen, I fight the slump by changing my activity. If I have been baking, I switch to cleaning. The physical movement helps to re-energize me.
That's smart. I use the Pomodoro technique to stay focused. I work in 25-minute sprints and then take a 5-minute break. This prevents me from getting completely burned out.
What do you do if you're in a long meeting and you can't take a physical break?
I employ a few subtle techniques. I sip cold water, I take notes by hand instead of typing, and I sometimes stand up during the meeting just to stretch my legs. It helps me stay engaged.
Those are great in-meeting strategies. I think the key is to recognize the slump and actively fight it, instead of just letting it take over.
Absolutely. It's about being proactive about your energy levels, not reactive.
Okay, let's go back to lunch and the social aspect. You mentioned getting takeout with your team. Is there a strict time limit for lunch in your office?
Yes, most people take exactly 1 hour. If you take longer, it's frowned upon. The hour is meant to completely disconnect from work.
That is generally true. However, the lunch break is often used for networking or building team morale. We usually spend the first 20 minutes talking about our weekend plans or a popular TV show. It's crucial for team cohesion.
That's valuable time. I remember a time I accidentally took someone else's lunch from the office fridge. It was a very awkward situation.
Oh no! That's the classic office mishap. What did you do? Did you apologize?
I apologized profusely and offered to buy them a new lunch immediately. They were very understanding, but I learned my lesson. Always label your food.
That's a great example of workplace etiquette. It's important to be polite and respectful of shared spaces and shared food.
And let's not forget the cultural aspect. In many countries, lunch is the biggest meal of the day, and it's a very long social affair. In the US, it's often a quick sandwich or salad eaten at the desk.
It is highly task-oriented here, but I think it's important for our listeners to understand that there are different cultural expectations around mealtimes.
Let's discuss how we utilize the afternoon for personal growth. I mentioned French. I try to listen to a full French news broadcast twice a week.
How do you handle the vocabulary that you don't know? Do you look up every word?
No, I don't look up every word. I try to infer the meaning from the context. If I look up every word, the process becomes frustrating and slow. I focus on understanding the main idea.
That's the correct way to approach fluency. I use flashcards for vocabulary. I create my own flashcards with example sentences, not just single words.
That's a smart strategy. Using example sentences helps you understand the collocation, how words naturally go together.
I also recommend the shadowing technique. Listen to a short clip of English, pause it, and then immediately repeat it. It trains your mouth muscles and your rhythm.
That's a fantastic exercise. Learning a language is like going to the gym for your brain. You have to be consistent and dedicated.
And we need to set SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. For example, I will listen to the Activate English podcast for 30 minutes every Monday.
That is a perfect SMART goal.
Okay, the work is done. We are entering the evening transition. You mentioned the changing ritual. Let's talk about the mental transition.
The mental transition is hard. I often try to leave a clean slate at work, meaning I finish any small, urgent tasks before I leave. This prevents me from ruminating about work all evening.
That's vital. I write down the 3 most important tasks for the next day. This clears my mind and tells my brain it's handled. You can relax now.
Now, chores. I find that doing chores immediately after dinner prevents them from piling up over the week.
I agree. I have a shared chore list with my partner. I am responsible for loading and unloading the dishwasher. She is responsible for folding the laundry. We divide the labor.
Dividing the labor is key to a harmonious home life. My least favorite chore is cleaning the bathroom. I usually put that chore off until the last possible minute.
Mine is dusting. I always forget to dust. But I love the feeling of a clean, tidy home. It helps me relax more fully.
You mentioned your electric guitar. How did you get into that hobby?
I started playing in college, but I stopped for many years. Recently, I realized I needed a way to vent stress that wasn't just watching TV. Playing music requires concentration, which is a great distraction.
That's fantastic. My hobby, reading, is also a form of concentration and distraction. I love reading mystery novels because they force me to focus on solving the puzzle.
Mystery novels are great. What are your rules for screen time in the evening?
I try to be very selective with streaming TV. I only watch 1 hour max. I prefer quality over quantity.
I often play video games. It's a great social outlet for me. I put on my headset and I catch up with friends who live in different time zones. It's a social solution to being an introvert.
That's a wonderful modern solution. We should all find a hobby that allows us to fully recharge our batteries. It's essential for mental health.
We are entering the final hour. The pre-sleep ritual is vital. What time do you start your ritual?
I start my ritual at 9:30 p.m. It involves dimming the lights, putting away the phone, and writing in my gratitude journal. It shifts my mind from work stress to positive thoughts.
I am trying to adopt the gratitude journal habit. My ritual involves making a cup of chamomile tea and listening to a guided meditation. It helps me relax my muscles and quiet my mind.
Do you ever experience insomnia?
Occasionally, if I wake up at 3 a.m. and can't fall back asleep, I don't stay in bed. I get up, read a book for 20 minutes in a different room, and then try to go back to bed. I don't force the sleep.
That's the correct technique. Forcing sleep only makes the insomnia worse. My final step is checking my alarm clock. Always a double check to make sure it's set for 6 a.m.
My final step is charging all of my devices in the kitchen outside the bedroom. This keeps the temptation of the phone out of the sleep space.
That is a smart way to ensure quality of sleep. And with that, we close our eyes and fall asleep. And the routine begins again tomorrow. Wow, Hank. We covered an entire day, hour by hour. From the dread of the alarm to the final dimming of the lights. That was truly comprehensive.
It was. Listeners, you now have a massive list of practical vocabulary and sentences.
Your challenge, our final activation exercise, is to pick one new habit, one new sentence from this marathon episode and use it tomorrow. For example, I will read a physical book before bed.
Or, I will avoid checking my phone immediately after the alarm goes off. Put that new English into your real life routine.
Thank you so much for joining us for this super detailed episode of the Activate English podcast. Thank you for sticking with us for this amazing deep dive.
Please subscribe and share.
Keep practicing, keep speaking, and keep living your life in English.
Goodbye for now.
Bye, everyone.